Well, thank you all of you for joining us. We have quite a panel discussion coming up. I'd like to just give a bit of intro. At Central Michigan University, in the last 3 years, we started a Michigan Finance Scholars Program. And really, in those 3 years, we were able to achieve 100% internship placement for our juniors. We were able to win some national and international competitions. And, today we will talk about how we got there. But what took to get there, talking about underdogs with this Mamba mentality, what took to get there is somebody believing, again, and that belief being infectious where the whole team believes it and is just willing to press on and is willing to work really hard, do whatever it takes. And then incredible results follow. So, making this sports analogy, we kind of did something similar at Central Michigan University. We went into competitions where I don't think we've ever placed before. And then, Brad Taylor, who's going to speak later, he said, he takes 2 teams and we get first and second. Then we go, there are actually many competitions that we've placed at. I think every competition that Brad went to, we've placed since then, and or close to that. And then we had this National Investment Banking competition, which is really for usually Ivy League schools win those things. And then we have two of our students went in there, won the whole thing, and they're the first team in the history of the competition where it's only a team of 2 to win the competition. Usually it's a team of 4. If there is a saying, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. So really, we had a whole village behind us, and we were receiving help from alumni. This was a big help. We had incredible faculty, staff, students, administrators, industry professionals. And here today, we will just kind of present 4 points of view where we'll have the current director of the MFS program, Brad Taylor. We'll have Jon Voigtman, who's been very supportive alum. And now I mentioned director at RBC, Chuck Crespy, he was the dean who helped us found this. And then Allison Harrison, just one of the many incredible scholars that graduated from the program, who is currently at Salesforce. CMU is not isolated case scenario. There are a dozen of schools that I was able to kind of identify, and there are more, that have some kind of similar programs. And this is the purpose of why we are having this panel discussion. We are looking to take this conversation to a national level and really build a community of everyone, of faculty, students, alumni, industry professionals. And we want to discuss best practices. We want to help each other out, and we want to just take the finance industry to the higher level.
Michigan Scholars Program, Finance Scholars Program has been, I think, has created a fundamental shift within the business school at Central Michigan. First, it brought some energy and enthusiasm that was very contagious, not only with the students, but I definitely think with alumni. You created an environment where alumni were very eager to participate because of that energy and enthusiasm. It also, I think, did a great job of deepening the learning experience for the students. It went beyond kind of classroom and textbooks and really created an environment that, was, fostered teamwork and competition. And, that is the real world when you have teamwork and competition. That's what we deal with, and that's what we try to develop as executives.
Jon brought to campus the head of the SEC, Jay Clayton, and he spoke. And if you want students to have good interpersonal skills and poise, you need to put them in a situation where they're interacting personally with people of extraordinary importance for the economic advancement of the country as a whole. And Jon did that. Jon not only did that by bringing people of Jay Clayton's caliber to campus, but he also facilitated us taking students to New York, to New York Stock Exchange, to Bloomberg, to RBC headquarters, and to a variety of other places where our students got one-on-one interaction with people at the highest levels in Wall Street. And that's what builds poise, self-confidence, and a sense of just how far students can go. And between Brad and Max and Jon, our students had the poise, self-confidence, and assurance to go out and compete in those competitions and win in those competitions. Now, how did they get to be the very best? What Brad did, and Brad's background is unique. Brad served as CFO for 3 different corporations in 3 continents, and then went back to ISM in Paris and earned his doctoral degree. So Brad brings a level of industry experience to the classroom that a lot of traditional finance faculty don't. So between Max and Brad, we really had the students bookend in terms of practical experience and academic expertise. And Brad started programs that engaged the students in ways that were really very meaningful. We brought back Emeriti faculty to mentor the students. We had Saturday morning study sessions where we brought in speakers from Canada and the United States to run morning-long seminars about, here's an area of finance that I work in, here's what you need to know, here are the implications for what I do. And it was those sorts of programs that inspired the students and gave them the self-confidence that they could compete in these competitions and do well in the competitions.
I think a lot of our finance students come from small towns in Michigan. They may be first generation college goers or the only one in their family to go to college. And so they have a lot of great technical skills. I think that's one thing that we see is that, you know, maybe their math skills are great. They have a lot of other skills. But the problem is that, and that's what Max and I saw when we started the program, is that the students didn't have any direction. You know, when you're sitting there coming from a smaller place, it's hard to talk to finance people about, you know, what you should expect in a career, where you should go, and how you should get there. And so that's one thing that we saw as maybe a deficiency here, is that we got great students. We really have great students, and you know, none of them are born with a silver spoon in their mouths. You know, so they're willing to work to get ahead, and that's what we see. And with that student base, we're able to work with them and to get them to improve, massage their skills so that they're presentable to industry. And I think that's the one thing that we have that's different here. So the Michigan Finance Scholars requires students to interview with us, to write an exam, and that exam covers current events, math, financial reporting, finance skills, and you know, from there we actually select our scholars. They have to have a GPA greater than 3.5. And once they get in, they attend a Saturday morning case study, I think that Chuck talked about. And those Saturday morning case studies, so last Saturday I had a case study. There were 32 students there virtually working on a case study, an employer-provided case study. And so that's led to other things. So for example, we had one of the large automotive manufacturers has been very helpful to this to the scholars program. They've come in and done interview skills. They've had case studies, etc. You know, so now another automotive manufacturer has decided that they would like to do a Saturday morning case study, and they have a finance leadership development program. So I just heard from them yesterday that they're going to do that in October. And again, that word gets out there, and then employers get a chance to meet the students that will be potential recruits in the future. And Allison, you know, she's a great presenter. She has a lot of enthusiasm, and that's I think what we liked about her. Like she's very technical. She's got great technical skills. And then second, with her presentation skills and just the way that she comes across, it's just been excellent. So I assume that you're doing a fantastic job at Salesforce in Chicago. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to you.
And I wanted to take this time to really talk about the value that MFS or similar programs was able to provide to CMU students, specifically from the Saturday morning case studies to the competitions that were talked about to Wall Street Journal Club, waking up at 7 a.m. and just growing your network has been incredible, and it helped me stand out from the crowd. Aside from standing out from the crowd, it helped me build my technical skills, again, grow my network, and just be an Ivy League type of student at a small school. So to kind of showcase how I've grown and throughout that journey, I want to talk about a short story. So I was a part of the CFA Research Challenge. 10 students were selected and broken up into 2 groups of 5. Now, as the only woman in the group, I took the lead on the project right away. And our team and I, we spent weeks creating our perspective, writing a 10-page detailed analysis, preparing our 20-minute presentation. And these are the type of stories that I was able to tell in my interviews. Because when preparing for the challenge, we actually let go of 2 individuals on our team, which was actually quite hard, just due to lack of participation. We stayed up till 2 a.m. at times, which showed dedication to getting the job done, being gritty, and just getting it done. And we also used our networks to gain other perspectives and get feedback and just poke holes in our analysis to make sure that we were presenting our strongest foot forward. So again, this led us to being able to take second place. I think Jacob Aymen is on the call, so he was on my team. So big shout out to you as well. But these are the type of stories that I was able to tell in interviews. There was a multitude of different competitions, other opportunities that when an interviewer says, tell me about a time that you had a challenge in front of you and how did you solve it? MFS gave me this whole bucket of opportunities that I can pick from. When asking individuals to join, it really comes down to the why. So what is the why of the program? Again, for me, I am hyper competitive. I'm pretty sure Max knew this when he was asking me to join. And so the CFA competition, the undergraduate investment challenge, these type of things were really what drew me in. And it comes to a different type of why to each individual, but that's really what it comes down to. Saturday morning case studies, because to be able to tell the story to someone, say, I missed out or I chose to focus on my academic progress rather than going to a football game, telling a recruiter that perks up their ears. You could say, yes, I did this at 8 a.m. every Saturday for weeks just to build on my technicals. So that's one piece that really stood out.
What we do is either we have an employer case study or I take a Harvard case study. And what I do is I try to put students in groups. So, the more senior students are helping out the more junior students, because we have different students at different levels. And I think, we spend the time, the students spend the time going through the case study. I walk around to the different groups, or when we did have it not virtual, walk around to the different groups and then just go through some of the key points that they're either missing or they need to think about when they're doing these case studies. The one thing I like about some of these case studies, a lot of times there is no right answer. So you have to look at things from a lot of different perspectives. And I think that's what I think students like about it. The other thing, I just met with a former student who's in a finance leadership development program in Ohio. He was back for the weekend, and I met him on Saturday, and he said, it's just the camaraderie as well, getting to know all of the other students, having coffee and donuts. And he said, I thought it was really fun. And I'm like, I was wondering if I was torturing the students. But when they look back afterwards, people think it was actually fun. It was something to do that set them apart, and they were part of a team.
The Michigan Finance Scholars Program and what you all have done in the finance area in general has had a really positive effect on alumni, because, and I'll just draw a simple comparison from the perspective of an administrator is, occasionally alumni get invited back to speak, and they speak in large groups where students are expected to be there. So the level of engagement is what you might expect. And then the alumni is thanked and they go on their way. And they had a pretty good experience because they spoke before a large audience. But what really, I think, gets to alumni and motivates them in a very powerful way is when you call them and do something like, and I'll use this as an example, you say, would you be interested in coming on a Saturday morning to talk to 30 or 40 finance majors who are real excited about this and are coming voluntarily to talk to you? And then that 2 or 3 hour engagement or whatever it is with students who are just really excited and trying to suck every bit of knowledge they can out of that alumni is very different than that speaking experience where you go talk to students who are there in large part because they have to be. And the motivational effect that has on alumni is palpable and makes the job of the development officer, the chair of the finance department, the dean, the associate dean, and all the administrators so much easier because all of a sudden you've built a partner in that alumni and you haven't used them. And I think that distinction is really, from my perspective as a former dean, is really powerful.
So it's pretty clear that alumni engagement is key to the success of these programs, right? And can you expand on how you were able to use alumni to get more alumni? So in other words, how do you kind of make that network larger and larger?
It really goes back to Chuck. He did a great job setting up the roundtable, the College of Business roundtable, executive roundtable, where he brought together executives from diverse industries to try to get them engaged. And you can see what happens when the alumni, when they're involved, they kind of feed on each other. I remember, Max, you wanted to make a trip to New York City. And again, it doesn't make sense to bring students and meet just with me. To me, we have a lot of successful alumni around the world. And you asked if I was willing to host a luncheon. And so to me, that was something that, I used my network of other alumni. I also use Google and LinkedIn to find alumni as you did. And we invited, 20 or so executives from New York City to a meeting. And we were all able to share our stories. When was the last time you were back to campus? Would you be interested in speaking to students? Would you be interested in providing an internship or a scholarship?
And then, the one thing that has worked really well for us is the Wall Street Journal Club, because since we went online, it's no problem to get anybody anywhere. So this week, as I said, I had someone from Johannesburg, South Africa speak on Monday. No issue. They don't have to come here. And then Tim Magnuson out of Minnesota. These are very busy people, but surely they can spend an hour talking to our students.
The energy that the students have and the hunger that they have to learn more is something that I think that you can't just have faculty feed, that it has to come from alumni as well. And that's where their network will grow. And that's where the dreams actually will also grow, because they will be exposed to new encounters through alumni than just going to classrooms. And I think that that's a responsibility of alumni to help provide.
When it comes to the networking events, those are huge too. Say, I took this challenge, let's talk about it over tea, over coffee. And then that's where, again, those internships and those job conversations start to be brought out.
And then the alumni are fighting for the best students rather than the students fighting for the best alumni.